Microsoft tweeted out this morning. Did you know at negative 20.6 dB, our anechoic chamber has the lowest sound level ever recorded? And you know where that anechoic chamber is, Paul? Inside a Microsoft store.
Oh, is it really?
That was. We'll give that a solid 3 out of 10 for a Monday joke.
I was just dealing with Microsoft Store stuff.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a story to be told.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah, whatever. So I think the reorg stuff might be getting announced here soon. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything
I
worth
have
noting?
I don't even want to try to speculate how big and or small, but there's been enough people who have pinged me and said, "Hey, something's happening like this week."
Okay.
So it could be major, it could be minor. We could maybe learn the value of Azure. No.
Wow.
No. I thought about tweeting out like a new economic unit. It's called an Azure. An Azure is a revenue generating business that cannot be defined publicly.
Right. It's like an element that we know exists scientifically, but we can't actually see it.
And it's also, the footnote would be critically important to the long-term success of the company, but we will not tell you how well or poor it is doing.
Yes. Right. The one metric you should be able to have to determine the success of this company is a secret.
Yes. Anyway, so if anybody hears anything, there's already been some stuff announced, but I mean, obviously like the closing of the stores, there's been some changes at the high level security side of Microsoft. We know that our buddy Rolf is now doing Windows UI along with hardware. And so we're going to continue to see more of that stuff kind of trickle out here. I don't know if they're going to be public or not about it, but enough people inside the company have heard things that says, hey, it's either like today or tomorrow. So keep your eyes open.
And then the quarterly and annual results, we probably, what is that, like third week of July, probably?
Somewhere around there, typically, yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
Good to know.
Yep.
Excited about this being a full week. Wait, no, I'm not.
Where are you going with this one?
I don't know.
I'm excited for it to be 9 trillion degrees outside again. That's been fun.
It's been full on summer.
It is. It's a warm one.
We walk the dog every morning. I was coming up the hill and I'm like, I am dying. I'm like, there might be something wrong with me. And my wife was like, no, it's like,
hold on. Was your wife like, oh, this is great. We're going to be rich.
Well, that's what I thought. No, I thought she was like, going to be like, I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with you. And she said, no, I'm having trouble breathing. And I was like, oh, good. Not, oh, good. But that it wasn't just me because I was like, we're just walking. I'm like, this is exercise, and it's just the humidity.
Oh yeah, it was like 100% humidity in 97 freedom units outside, and
it's been hot.
It's been a roaster. Something else that I'll be writing up. I think I'll have this post done today. So remember, like 2 weeks ago or whatever, we got that like screenshot of the game developer kit that said, "Hey, Lockhart's real" or whatever.
No, you live in some kind of a fantasy world. I don't think any of this.
Anyway, so we got some screenshots like 2 weeks ago. So I've seen the rest of the documents now, and there's just some minor stuff related to game core for people who really like to get into the nitty gritty weeds of that stuff that I'll have hopefully later today.
So let me ask you a question, which people have asked me, but I'll probably ask you more, which is related to the why of Lockhart, right? So Microsoft already has an Xbox One X. Why, I have an answer to this, but I mean, what's your perspective on this? Like, why would they introduce a lower price, lower capability console in addition to the X?
There's actually a lot of reasons. So one being that then they have to produce one chip. They only have to produce one CPU going forward for consoles. If they kept the Xbox One X, then they would have to continue to produce that older Jaguar chip, which is like a decade old or whatever. That's one reason. Second reason is actually what I'm writing about with this game core stuff. It's a lot easier for them to build game core designed for one CPU and basically one targeted environment with multiple SKUs inside of it, rather than having to target the new console and that. Third being ray tracing. The Xbox One X doesn't support ray tracing, and the next generation stuff does. So
Okay. All right, that's
there's
tied to
multiple reasons why they need to do it.
All right, so tied to that is a kind of a follow-up or side question, which is, where do you think it falls performance-wise, the Lockhart that is, with regards to Xbox One X? Because I've heard people saying, like, I don't understand why they would release something that's not as powerful as Xbox One X, and that doesn't kind of seem right to me.
Yeah, I think it, like, technically from a raw power perspective, it might be, because I believe they're targeting 4 teraflops and the X, I think, is 6 or something like that. But again, you're not getting the ray tracing support. But I would be extremely surprised if we hear the word 4K mentioned at all with Lockhart. It's just designed for 1080p TVs, maybe 1440, and getting 60, the same level of like frames per second performance than like what I struggle with is I hope that when Microsoft talks about this stuff, they don't even mention the specs. I hope they do like what Apple does. I hope they come out and say, hey, this console does 60 to 120 frames per second on 1080p, and it's $399. That's all you need to know.
I mean, right. I was going to say, in some ways, those are the specs that matter, not this chip is capable of blah, 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 blah. Like, whatever. That's not really, you want to know what's this going to do for me?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're going to get 1080p for your HD TV, 60 to 120 frames per second. You're going to get ray tracing. You're going to get HDR. You're going to get variable refresh rate. You're going to get everything. That's all you need. That's it. Like, Apple's never told us how much RAM is in an iPhone. Now, we've eventually figured out, but...
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because that's its own kind of apples to oranges comparison, because obviously on the Android side, we always know how much RAM is in a device, and it's been a big escalation that may or may not even be necessary.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of maps to what I was thinking. I mean, I don't know. Unfortunately, we work in an industry where, because it is technical, a lot of pedantic stuff going on here. And this is a good example of that.
Yep. The one sort of bigger interesting note, I guess, if you will, or whatever, is from this documentation. So they released the game development kit, which is like an SDK, but for game development. No surprise there. For June. And that is going to be the first official release that you can use to actually publish and release games with. So it's it's effectively the baseline of what's going to be going forward. So,
speaking of baselines, I haven't written this up, and I don't know, maybe I won't, but there is a strongly building rumor that next gen games, meaning those that run on PS5 or Xbox Series, whatever, are going to now start at $70, not at $60, right? $60 price point's been around for a while. If I'm not mistaken, I think Xbox 360 was $60 the whole time, I think. So it's been a while.
The one thing that does do, though, is it makes Game Pass look that much better.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
It makes it's now less than 1.5 games. So,
yeah, the key there, though, is going to be getting optimized games on Game Pass as quickly as possible. But I mean, I'm sure there will be.
There was a developer who tweeted out, and I might be wrong on this exact math, but I thought he said that after their game went into Game Pass, they saw a 5x increase in sales.
Yeah, no, there's been that kind of, so Xbox Game Pass tends to drive engagement, which is really neat. And, if you're a Call of Duty or whatever, it doesn't matter to you. But this is a neat way for smaller developers, especially, to get good, usage numbers. I mean, and there's a lot of indie games in there. PlayStation has a similar program. And that's a neat way for those developers to kind of get out into the world.
Yeah, if you don't have $1 billion budget like some of the big titles do, it's an easy way.
I mean, you're competing with 100 games.
Yeah,
I mean, basically, I'm sure it's more than 100 now, but it's it's in the you can walk. Well, not that anyone walks into a GameStop today, but if you were to browse virtually through a game store, I mean, it's just, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I mean. Just having 100, and then people kind of maybe have their idea, like, well, I want this kind of a game, and now you're down to 5 to 10 to 20 games, whatever. It's good visibility.
It is. I mean, when you consider that Rockstar put GTA 5 in there, and then they also put Red Dead Redemption. Now, granted, they were pretty limited time, but if you sat down, you could beat the game before it kind of moved on and moved out. And so
Or just spend that time and realize, you know what, actually this game isn't for me, and I didn't spend $60 on it. I mean, that alone is worth it.
Yeah,
You know?
that might be a bigger draw right there too. Because I fall into that category. Like I've played some GTA games, but I didn't buy GTA 5, and I did play it when it was in Game Pass. But still not going to buy it. It's just not. That's not my type of game. So.
But on the flip side, I mean, if you were really into GTA or whatever game, and it was a temporary deal and it was exiting, you get a discount for being in the Game Pass, and you can buy it and knowing that you like the game now, and that purchase will make all the more sense.
Yeah, I wonder if that's part of their pitch too. It's like, look, people will come in, try it, and it's clearly showing that people get sticky to the game.
Yeah, it is part of the push because you get a discount. And, that's the thing. Like, we've probably all done this, maybe, no matter where it is. Like, if you're on an Apple TV and you rent a movie and it's like, rentals are expensive, they're like $5.99. And you watch it and you're like, oh, actually, I wouldn't mind owning this. I could watch the special features. It's something I might watch multiple times. In your case, you have a child, it's a kid's movie that she's going to watch a million times. Would make sense. It'd be nice to get some money off of that purchase after you rented it. Like, I've never understood why that isn't the case. So it makes sense on the game side too.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. It is a Monday morning after all, after a holiday weekend. So.
Yep. That is a fact. There is nothing going on in the world. I mean, nothing. And I don't know. I don't know. I've got some ideas for some stuff, but it's quiet. What can I tell you?